Many imagine Shiva as someone living on Mount Kailash, a blue-bodied yogi with matted hair, a crescent moon, and the Ganga flowing from his locks. I searched for that Shiva. I searched in temples. I searched in scriptures. I searched in pilgrimages. But every search ended with the same silence. Then Kashmir Shaivism whispered something astonishing. If you seek Shiva as an object, you will never find him, because Shiva is the one who is seeking. That sentence changed my life. My journey began from the lowest level of existence. The five great elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. I believed these were the whole universe. Then I discovered something deeper. Behind every element lies a subtle reality, the tanmatras. Not smell, but the possibility of smell. Not taste, but the source of taste. Not form, but the possibility of seeing. Not touch, but the essence of touch. Not sound, but the birthplace of sound. The world became less solid. Then I looked at my actions, speech, hands, feet, excretion, creation, the five organs of action. I realized they were only instruments. They were not me. Then I turned inward. The five organs of knowledge: eyes see, ears hear, tongue tastes, skin feels, nose smells. For years I believed these senses were revealing reality, but they were only presenting appearances. Then I entered the inner instrument, the Antakarana, mind, intellect, ego. The mind kept creating endless thoughts. I should do this. I should become that. The intellect judged everything. This is right. That is wrong. The ego claimed ownership. I did it. I failed. I succeeded. And suddenly I saw my suffering was not created by the world. It was created by identification. Then came Prakriti, nature itself, the play of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Every mood, every desire, every emotion, every personality was simply nature moving, not me. Then I encountered Purusha, the individual experiencer. I thought this was liberation. I am the witness. But Kashmir Shaivism smiled gently. No, even the witness is still limited. Then I discovered the 5 chains, the Kanchukas, the invisible prison. First, Niyati, the limitation of place. I am here, not there. Then, Kala, the limitation of time. I was born, I will die. Then, Raga, the feeling of incompleteness. I need something to become happy. Then, Vidya, limited knowledge. I know this, but not everything. Finally, Kala. Kala is the principle of limited agency or authorship, limited power. I can only perform certain actions, or my creative power is limited. I realized these 5 limitations created the person I had always called myself. But there was one more veil, Maya. Not illusion in the sense that the world does not exist, but forgetting who I truly am. Like a king dreaming he is a beggar. Nothing had happened to the king, only forgetfulness. Then something extraordinary occurred. The first glimpse of awakening, Suddha Vidya. The recognition arose. I am Shiva. Yet sometimes I remember, sometimes I forget. Awareness had begun to awaken itself. Then came Ishvara Tattva. The universe was no longer separate. Everything I saw was my own expansion. Trees, mountains, stars, people, joy, pain, all expressions of one consciousness. Then came Sadashiva. No longer this universe is my expression, but I am this universe. There was no distance left. The river flowed within me. The wind breathed through me. The stars shone inside my own awareness. Finally, words stopped. Thought stopped. Seeking stopped. There remained only 2 tattvas, Shakti, pure, vibrant consciousness, infinity, creative power, and then Shiva, not a person, not an object, not a god sitting somewhere in heaven, pure I, infinity awareness, without beginning, without end, without another, and beyond even this. The sages speak of Paramashiva beyond all descriptions, present in every tattva, from earth to pure consciousness, never absent, never divided, never born, never dying. That is where I met Lord Shiva, not outside, not in a vision, not through a miracle, but in the silence before every thought, in the awareness telling these words right now. I did not become Shiva. I discovered I had never been anything else. Perhaps the real question is not, have you met Lord Shiva? The real question is, who is asking? When that question disappears, only Shiva remains.